The VT-12, or VERSUCHSTRÄGER in its original name, is the most brutal vehicle ever known to War Thunder, and we should be seriously thinking about outlawing such insane monstrosities. It is so extreme that there is no other vehicle even remotely similar to this tank anvil, and it will very likely change how War Thunder is played on the top tier. The experimental Carrier 1-2 is a gift rank 6 German tank destroyer, with a battle rating of 8.3, which you can currently obtain through Operation Shipyard, and which you definitely should do, even if you have to kill your own grandma and steal her wallet. As already said, the vehicle right now sits at 8.3, but should be around 12 in an ideal situation. The VT-12 is a German prototype twin-gun turretless main battle tank, with only 2 vehicles ever built. Since the early 70s, several West German companies have been working on conceptual designs for a successor to the Leopard 1. The Bundeswehr had already developed the Leopard 2 and therefore didn't see the need for another conventional tank. The VT-12 test program proved that a twin-gun turretless tank could be created with enough technical effort, but had drawbacks in both practical and tactical use. The tank was based on the shortened chassis of the cancelled MBT-70 tank, which we have in the game as well. The vehicle featured a turbocharged engine, which was capable of producing 1,500 horsepower sustained and 2,400 horsepower for short periods of time. In War Thunder, it uses the latter, which is why is it so insane. The experimental Carrier had 2 distinct features, which are present in War Thunder 2. One is its automatic loading mechanism, but only for the left cannon, meaning the cannons have different rates of fire. The second feature, or rather disadvantage, is its incapability of moving the guns horizontally. If you want to aim left and right, you need to move the whole tank. This feature needs to be bound to a separate key, and from the look of it, it will very likely be shared with the Swedish tank destroyers, if they ever come to War Thunder. Let's talk in-game capabilities. One of the basic rules of War Thunder ground combat says don't overextend, but forget it. With VT-12, you want to overextend as much as you possibly can. If you want an example, this is me searching for tanks around enemy spawn, while my allies still haven't reached the first cap point. As you could already assume from the footage in front of you, one of the major strengths of this tank is its speed and agility. Mostly the agility though. Because of its power-to-weight ratio, it has insane hull traverse speed, meaning you are able to change directions quickly, and without losing any speed. If the situation allows it, you will be able to reverse to a maximum speed of 60 km per hour. As you can see in front of you, it can casually jump into the air over terrain bumps while in reverse. Nothing else can do this. The problem is, you will use reverse gears very rarely, because if you don't hit your enemy first, you are as good as dead, but we will get to that later. To keep the enemy at bay, you have 2 120mm cannons, which can be also found on the Leopard 2A4. At 8.3. Yes. With 650mm of chemical penetration. Not enough? As already mentioned, the left cannon has an autoloader. You can kill enemies pretty fast, even multiple of them at the same time, just look at the footage in front of you. Both cannons are stabilized in vertical axis. You don't need horizontal stabilization, because you cannot move your cannons to left and right anyway. But enough of the praise. There are some major weaknesses which can be used to your advantage, if you are playing against this speed demon. The main issue of this tank is the lack of armor. Essentially, you have no armor, because the tank is built from structural steel. It is not as bad as the Object 120, but high-caliber machine guns can still penetrate you in some spots. On top of that, you have only 3 crew members, sitting behind the front plate on bench literally next to each other. Single shot and they are all dead. If you think the lack of protection and bad placement of crew is already bad enough, there is one more major downside for you. The vehicle has no smoke dispensers. If you are shot anywhere, you are practically dead. Except for the lack of any machine guns, the vehicle has one last disadvantage, that has to do with its unique construction. The second cannon is offset to the right, which makes aiming quite difficult. The aiming mechanism is located on the left side of the tank coaxially to the auto-loaded cannon. But there is already custom sight on the live, which can help with this drawback. If you position your tank correctly at the edge of a building, you can even use this drawback to your advantage by being able to shoot while showing only a tiny portion of your vehicle. The hull aiming mechanics is a bit wonky, and it takes some time getting used to, especially when combined with the weight of the tank and massive recoil of the cannon, which after firing moves with the whole vehicle to the respective side, based on which cannon you used. I would call this the VT syndrome, and except the lack of armor, it is perhaps the biggest drawback of the vehicle. One last thing. Avoid the BMP-1 and 2 like a plague, they are your mortal enemy. They will shred you to pieces the moment they spot you. That's it for today. Thanks for sticking with me. Stay simple, stay in touch.